start with injuries as always.
Yeah.
Any update on Ismail Sarr, Welbeck, Hughes, Cleverley as well?
Sarr won't be available this week. Welbeck is in the squad. Cleverley is trained today with the squad. Looks really good. Won't be included this weekend, but he's made really good progress. So that's great for us that we've got a couple of our very talented players back in the fold. Who else did you ask about?
Will Hughes?
Will's back in the squad, trained this week. Looks really good. So, yeah, it's our injury situation, although, disappointing to lose Ismail. That he's making progress, but he won't be available certainly for Saturday. But yeah, we've got players coming back, which is good as well.
How big in particular, how important is it to have someone like Danny Welbeck back in his team?
Well, yeah, I mean, Danny's a really good player and a big character in our dressing room as well. So gives us another option. I think his track record's excellent. He's had a great career, but he's the type of player who really wants to be back in the fray. I had another chat with him today. I'm really delighted for him that he's overcome the problem that he's had. So I know he's had a few injury issues that he's had to deal with, but he works exceptionally hard, and it's great to have him available. So what we have to do now is make sure that now he's back, he stays available. I mean, that's the most important thing. I think I said this a few weeks ago, that when you've got big players who are unavailable with injuries, and especially in our situation where we would like as many players available as possible, there is a temptation, I think, sometimes to, if you like, push players to be back in the fray when they're getting very, very close. But it's in our interest to be that little bit more patient, so that when they're back to stay. Because one of the problems with recovering from an injury that's lasted for a considerable time is that the players need to have a durability and a robustness that training over a longer period of time can give them. So, we've got we've got enough games left to give ourselves a good chance of staying up, which is very, very important. And every game is vitally important, obviously, but we're not quite in the situation where we have to take undue risks. And I think, Danny's situation in the way that he's built up his training program to now be available is I think has been the right way to do it. He's been training now with the team for about 3 weeks, and he's looked really good from his first day with us. So there is a temptation sometimes to include players maybe before it's good for them individually. And the same applies with somebody like Will, who's been great for us when he's played. Will Hughes has done exceptionally well for us, and Tom Cleverley comes into the same category, that we know what he's capable of. He's desperate to be back involved, but there's also at times that you have to protect players from themselves a little bit.
I read recently that Adrian Mariappa said every game now for Watford is like a cup final. Is that how you assess the situation?
In some ways, yes, but I think so if we cast our minds back to the game against Aston Villa I think we were unlucky to lose, but prior to that game I said it's not a season-defining game. And what I mean by that is that they are games when you're playing against teams who are around you in the league. that you want to try and win them for sure, and you certainly don't want to lose them. But they're not. It's not a season-defining result necessarily. Having said that, every game that we play, every time that we take to the field, we have to make sure that our own performance gives us the best chance of winning that game. And you can't wait until the latter stages to start putting a run together. We've had a reasonable run of results which has put us back in contact. But the situation that we currently find ourselves in is that there's still an awful lot of work to be done. And so, you could say that every game is vitally important, but to put too much emphasis on any one game, I think, builds unnecessary pressure. My mantra in terms of what I'm looking for from the players is to make sure that we play as close to our maximum in every game that we play. If we do that, we've got a good chance of winning games, and that's really what it's about. So, most importantly, from my own perspective, is to make sure first and foremost that the performance is right. And if we get that as close to perfect as possible, then we've got a great chance of winning games. And that's really how it has to be, because if I talk about not spending too much time looking at the league table, it's when you have one or two setbacks, you've got to make sure that you still remain very even with your mood, and that we are able to prepare and recover for games in the same way. We've had a decent run of games and results, and we've had a couple of setbacks recently. But generally speaking, I've been pleased with the application. Not pleased. I've been very pleased with the application of the players. But we have to also recognise that there is a long way to go. There are a number of teams who are involved in the relegation battle, and we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves first and not worry too much about what other people are doing. It really is very much about ourselves and how we approach every single game. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of managers and players as well will say, we take one game at a time. But you must have
Yeah, well, I avoid those types of lines, but I'll probably create a different way of saying it. But you can't get too far away from that. Will be. It's obvious that has to be the case.
You must have an idea of how many points you want to reach to perhaps ensure that you're safe in the Premier League, or perhaps.
Well, I do, but there's no point verbalising that now, because you'll keep reminding me of what I said on a certain day. It's fluid. It changes. Every year is different. Every year is slightly different in the sense that the relegation battle will, as it looks at the moment, there will be, I would think it's fair to say, about 7 sides who you could speculate are involved in it. Depending on how we and other teams around us do, that can change. There will be other sides who might be looking at the table slightly nervously, but if they have the same sort of mentality that I have, and that is you concentrate on your own games. Again, I'm wasting time talking about stuff that really is not of any importance to me, and that is what other people think in their own clubs. My only concern is us, how we go about it. And as the season progresses, then maybe there is scope to change the approach somewhat. But our players have to make sure first and foremost that we take care of our own performances. Because I think if you look at our season so far, most people would suggest that the reason that we're in the position that we're in is because, we've not met the expectation that we would have on for ourselves and that other people would have for us. So, I think that really does state the obvious in some ways.
Because you're undefeated at home in the last 5 Premier League games, is that something that the players will be thinking about? They mentioned it. Does it give you added confidence?
Well, I hope it gives them more confidence. I don't know how the players talk about it. I've not asked them. I think all I can do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is to try and sense how we are and adjust training and however we conduct ourselves around the place accordingly. It is so. If I go back to talking about when I've previously said that we will have to deal with setbacks, what I will say is the mood at the training ground in the last week or so, where we've had a couple of difficult results to deal with, the players have been excellent again. So that for me is a decent indicator, but we've got to back it up now with a good performance at home. Yeah.
On behalf of the fans, is there any updates in terms of...
On behalf of the fans? That's a new way of putting it. It's quite creative from you, really. On behalf of the fans, not a lot of news to give you, I'm afraid.
Club's obviously been linked with various names, Christian Pedersen and Ben Gibson. Any truth to those?
Look, if there is, again, I don't talk about other people's players, and I've already said that I'm pretty happy with the squad that we have. If we can add players to make us more competitive, then yeah, we may do it. But if it doesn't happen, I'll also be okay, because I don't think this window is one that we don't need to panic in it, for sure. It's and I don't want too many players kicking around the place where they're too far away from the team. We have areas of the squad that we feel that it might be beneficial to strengthen in, but whether we can actually achieve that or not will remain to be seen. But I don't really believe in speculating on other people's players, and I'm not in a hurry to lose anybody from us as well. So I think if there is a scenario where there is business done, it will be to add to what we already have. But outside of that, there's no more detail, I'm afraid, on behalf of the fans.
What areas of the squad will you be looking to strengthen? You mentioned that...
The areas that I think might need strengthening. Look, I'm not going down that road. Look, you can try and tease information out of me, but and you have got a very nice smile, but I'm not going to fall for that one.
Hey, click here for more video. Hey, click. Come on. Click. Come on, bro.